I'm selling my Hermes bags, and not to be dramatic, but it genuinely feels like I'm breaking up with a boyfriend. A shock to some perhaps, but for those who truly know me, they know that this moment has been a long time coming.
And I, for one, feel like I definitely have been a perpetrator of purchasing bags and purchasing things and showing and doing lifestyle. Listen, I'm sitting in a very expensive car right now.
Hi loves, so I stumbled upon this video and it's a video of Patricia Bright, an influencer who is giving her take on Lydia Millen selling her Hermes luxury bags. Lydia, who is a well-known influencer, recently shared on her socials that she's letting go of her Hermes collection. Just so you get the full gist of the story, I'm going to be playing Lydia's video and then I'll be playing Patricia's video and we're going to dive right into it.
I'm selling my Hermes bags, and not to be dramatic, but it genuinely feels like I'm breaking up with a boyfriend. A shock to some perhaps, but for those who truly know me, they know that this moment has been a long time coming. I started sharing my life online nearly 15 years ago. In those early days, I worked 4 jobs alongside studying for my degree, saving every penny to buy pre-loved mulberry bags, small trophies that symbolised my own successes, especially in the moments when that recognition wasn't always found elsewhere. Soon enough, I began sharing my love of luxury handbags and fashion through my videos, and quite literally, my life changed overnight. I would spend hours scouring the internet and vintage boutiques for the best pieces within my budget. I'd wait for sales to secure the latest trends at a fraction of the price, and I'd trawl Bicester Village for last season's must-haves. I documented it all, taking my audience along for the journey. As my business grew, I was able to buy pieces brand new, and before long, Mulberry was replaced by Dior, Dior by Chanel, and eventually I found myself playing the Hermes game. I built my collection through in-store wishes, pre-loved finds, and treasured vintage pieces. And in the process, I learned invaluable lessons about quality, patience, and craftsmanship. So much so that I eventually downsized from a collection of 75 luxury handbags to a carefully curated edit of well-loved, truly special pieces. And just like that relationship we've all had, that one that felt right until suddenly it didn't. I began to feel a shift. I caught myself turning my bag around as I walked down the street, worrying about where I could and couldn't take it, feeling a little bit funny about content being created around these bags online, myself included, and brushing off less than stellar experiences in store, telling myself it was just part of the process. Until one day, I had to stop and ask myself, what am I doing? So here I am, packing up the last of my collection, a collection that for so long was a marker of my successes. And yet I've come to realise I no longer need to measure my achievements in handbags, nor do they hold the power to bring me happiness. And instead, I've gone back to my roots with this pre-loved Bayswater that I picked up for 300 quid that comes with a lot less baggage, pun intended. And with that, my edit with Cellier is now live, and with 20% of the proceeds going to support women through the many challenges that we face today. I hope you enjoy shopping my edit and my collection on there now.
And here is Patricia's take on this video.
I saw my friend Lydia. Shout out to Lydia. She's that girl, and she's selling actually a lot of her Hermes bag collection. And I, for one, feel like I definitely have been a perpetrator of purchasing bags and purchasing things and showing and doing lifestyle. Listen, I'm sitting in a very expensive car right now, and I have been part of that. And I think there's a changing in the air, in that there was definitely, as an influencer, the competition to show your value in the things that you have. And I think that is a never-ending cycle of how much more can you have? How much more can you buy? What can you get next? Blah, blah, blah. I, for one, realised that I've been a perpetrator of that, as well as a victim of it, was feeling that if people don't see what you have, they don't believe that you're doing well. However, I also seen the backlash of people being aware of how well you're doing, even if it's a pretense, and that causing a lot of commotion. So fundamentally, the designer bags were a representation of doing well, not just flexing, but also showing people, well, I've progressed, well, I've upgraded, well, I've got something. And once you start to get internal validation, inevitably those items do not carry the same weight. So I think for her, it's a case of progressing and getting into other interests. I think on the wider scale, I've seen a few other influencers that I know mention wanting to sell their bags and not being as excited by having Hermes anymore. And I'm going to keep it very real. I think it's because it's become mainstream and more known and more attainable, and there are some amazing dupes on the market. So what felt like was very exclusive doesn't feel that exclusive anymore, and there are people who want to feel so exclusive so they don't want the thing that everybody else has. I'm just saying. Now, I for one love my bags, and I do genuinely feel like they are a representation of I've made it, but also I really just like them. Do I see them as an investment? Absolutely not. The way I throw my bags around and lose them, I don't think I'll get 10p back on them. However, I do believe in investing, and I think there are other ways to invest. And I think it was a bit of a story when people are like, yeah, if you get this bag, it's an investment. Do you even have stocks and shares? Do you even have a pension before you're thinking of Hermes bag as an investment? Please. There are different ways to invest before you think about bags. And I would also say, coming from the ethnic minority perspective, often the only way that we can visibly show our growth and our success, and that is actually interesting, is the fact that we have nice shoes, have nice bags, drive a nice car. Like, this is our way of showing that we've made it. And as someone who's talked about personal finance, I've talked about investment, I had to take a step back from having those discussions because I realized that it just didn't quite connect in the same way as me just showing the stuff that I have. However, I really want to go back to that and let people know it's great to have great things and nice things and beautiful things. But there are other things as well that give you value internally as well as externally as well. So yeah, times are changing. The girls are selling their Hermes bags. There is a recession in the air.
Okay, so there you have it. Now, for those who aren't familiar with Hermes bags are luxury bags. In actual fact, I tried to go onto their website to look at the price points of these bags, and for their iconic Birkin bags and Kelly bags, you cannot find the price points on their website. They're that exclusive, and you'll need to have a relationship with a sales associate, and they're really kept for their really exclusive customers. But just to give you an idea of the price point, here is a wallet. This wallet is sold for £3,450. Just to give you guys an idea of how much the bags cost, I went onto a trusted London reseller called Celia, and these prices of these bags ranged from £7,000 right up to 40 something thousand pounds. And remember, these are resales, these are not even like brand new. They're pretty expensive bags. Okay, so I like the fact that in Patricia's video, she starts off by admitting that she's been a perpetrator of owning luxurious things, luxurious bag, and she also mentions the fact that there's been competition amongst influencers to show their value, their worth through their luxurious items. And I'm glad that she's putting her hands up and owning it, because I feel like a lot of influencers over the years have constantly pushed this narrative that, oh, you need to have this bag or this shoe or this lifestyle or this watch in order for you to show that you're someone of a certain value, in order for you to belong, in order for you to show your wealth, your status and your class. And I love the fact that she's saying that things are shifting now, because all this while they have gone on to portray a life on social media that if you have all these things, you will have satisfaction. If you have all these things, you'll have joy. But I'm glad that Patricia and like Lydia has also shown in her video that these things do not bring satisfaction. She goes on to say that the narrative is changing, and I'm so glad that the narrative is changing. Well, I really hope it changes. And even if it doesn't change, I hope this sends out a clear message to people not to get sucked into what we see on social media. She says it's a never-ending cycle of how much more can you have and how much more can you buy. And I really agree with her. I think it's important when we are consuming content online that we're able to detach from the desire to just want more and more and more. There will always be the latest handbag. There will always be the newest iPhone. There will always be a new must-have. But it's important for you to be content. If there is one thing about me, I will always live, not even within my means, I will always live below my means. I will always put money aside for a rainy day. I'm never moved by what I see on social media, because look, I'm not about to give myself high blood pressure, so I do not live above my means. I really keep it real. Do not be moved by trends. Do not be moved by fashionable items, because that's what they are. They're just trends. And these influencers are coming out to say that, do you know what? It's not worth it. You do not get an internal joy from it. There's no satisfaction from it, and it's all about the show. Look at what I have, and you're always wanting more. It's a constant cycle that you're trying to keep up with. And I'm not saying you shouldn't treat yourself to luxurious items. I'm not saying you shouldn't treat yourself to good things once in a while. It's good. I mean, as human beings, we're allowed to reward ourselves. That's important. But what I'm saying here is when you're so fixated on what you see on social media and this lifestyle that these influencers are paid to create, when you see and you aspire to it, and these lifestyles are not real, they do not bring you joy, and then it becomes an issue. It's very important that you put your money aside and use it on tangible assets that will bring you a good return in the future. Assets like your pension, like a mortgage, like junior ISAs for your children, or just putting it aside for a rainy day, and let your money work for you. You know, there's something that my mom would always say. They would say, today's clothes, like a brand new clothes, it's brand new today, but tomorrow it's like it's not anything special anymore, because once you've worn it, you're like you get bored of it and you want something new. Just like a bag, you get bored of it, you get tired. I'm sure what happened to Lydia is that she probably just got tired and fed up. Patricia then says that once you get internal validation, those items do not carry the same weight. And I totally agree with her. It's important that, I said it earlier, it's important for you to have internal validation, internal joy, and contentment, and build your character from within. When you're content from within, these external things lose their weight. True peace of mind or true joy doesn't come from a label or a price tag, as we've seen from Lydia's perspective. Work on building your character. Build a confident version of yourself that isn't swayed by trends. Because while trends pass, your characters and your peace will stand the test of time. Patricia goes on to explain why she thinks influencers are getting rid of their bags. One of her reasons is that because it is more mainstream and it's more affordable and it's more known. I do agree that it's a more known brand, a more talked about brand. I'm not sure about attainable. I guess that's relative to each individual, but I don't know how attainable a 10k bag is to everyday individual. It's all well and good for influencers to come out now and say that they've perpetuated a message. However, they do have influence on people's lives, and it's important that they do take responsibility for their actions and for what they do. However, it's important that you also have self-control over what you're consuming. I'd just like to touch on 2 points that Lydia made in her video. She mentioned about the safety element of it, and she mentioned that she sometimes turned her bag around while she was walking down the street. Imagine carrying something so expensive and not having peace of mind. Is it really worth it? Not having the peace of mind to walk down the street. Just so sad, so sad. This girl probably just wanted peace for herself, and I really do not blame her. Another thing that I wanted to take from Lydia's video is when she said that she no longer needed to measure her achievements in handbags, and nor do they hold the power to bring her happiness. I really love this statement. Your value doesn't just start and stop at the material things that you own. It's all about what's also on the inside. And it's also making sure that you have valuable assets. I just saw that video and I thought I will bring it to you. And I really just wanted to conclude on these few points. And the first one being that your worth isn't tied to trends. It's really not. Luxury is nice, but legacy is priceless. And finally, internal joy always outweighs external validation. I would love to hear your thoughts, loves. Please like, comment, share, and are you also having a mind shift? If so, please leave it in the comment sections. And with that, I'd like to say thank you. Bye, loves.